in the heart of Texas into the greater Dallas metropolitan area. That was the site of NBA Finals Media Day Part 2. More puffery. Puff the Magic Dragon was there. The biggest development came from the Boston side of things as they are up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. Now, if you did not hear, and perhaps not, we learned that Kristaps Porzingis, that is a very tall human being that occasionally plays well and often doesn't play at all. Kristaps Porzingis suffered what has been described as a, quote, rare injury, and it involves his left leg and other stuff, tendons and some other stuff. It's an injury we've never heard of, and we've heard of just about every ridiculous injury you can possibly come up with, but not the injury he suffered. So a rare left leg injury involving tendons. And what is the prognosis? Well, the prognosis, mixed messages here. The Celtics say that Porzingis is day-to-day. They issued a news release saying that Porzingis is day-to-day and very well could play here on Wednesday night in game number 3. But Joe Mazzulla said this is a serious injury. And the Celtics are not allowing Porzingis to decide whether or not he plays. Porzingis, for what it's worth, told reporters, he said he's optimistic that he'll be able to play in game 3. Okay. So let us discuss. The question, the Celtics' Kristaps Porzingis, better known as the Unicorn, has suffered what is described as a rare leg injury. His status for the rest of the finals is up in the air everywhere. How big a deal is this? Is this the turning point? So I've got hang 10, roller coaster, and handshake. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a bouncy ball, which is what they use in pro bouncy ball. So, is this the turning point? No, this is not the turning point. You might want to turn this into the turning point, but it's not the turning point. In terms of winning the series, you play to win the game. In terms of winning the series, this is a pimple on a blue whale's stomach is what it is. Somewhere out there in the Pacific, it's minuscule is what it is. And there are people that are conflating this with some kind of dramatic Shakespearean plot twist. I don't see it. And I'm never wrong about these things. I am never wrong about these things. Let me put a call on hold here. Hold on a sec. There we go. All right. But I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong about these things. Now, given Porzingis, his history, a massive injury history, it is unlikely the Celtics are going to get much, even if he plays. As a distant relative of Nostradamus and friend of Nostradamus, Porzingis will mostly be just a decoy if he plays in Game 3. That's my anticipation. And I am upset because we talked about doing this, but we didn't actually do it. We were going to play injury bingo. Nothing more exciting than NBA injury bingo. And the Unicorn, we'd mentioned which game will Porzingis get hurt. We know he's not going to make it the entire series without having an injury. And he couldn't even make it all the way through 2 games. By the end of game 2, snap, crackle, pop, goes the cereal bowl for Porzingis. And using our TikTok medical degree that we got online there, the Unicorn tore connective tissue near the ankle. And that led to a displaced tendon. So that's the issue. What does that mean in the big picture? Well, it means the Celtics are a little less imposing without Porzingis, but still much better. In fact, if you were to say this was a race, and why not? It's a race. The Celtics are a country mile ahead of the Mavericks in terms of talent, even without Porzingis. Have you seen some of the turd burgers planned for Dallas in this series so far? You get that loser Kyrie Irving, that fraud. Who was exposed, by the way, on social media. But anyway, not a lot of people talking about that. I wonder why. Now, my advice here to the Celtics without Porzingis is to go cowabunga dude and be surfer-like, hang 10, as they say, and ride the tide. Just ride the tide, ride the waves. And this means more opportunity for average Al. Al Horford, average Al, will have more opportunity here, more minutes to put up average numbers. But the secret sauce here has been Drew Holiday and his Doberman defense for the Celtics and making the Dallas basketball team a one-trick pony. Speaking of that one trick for Dallas, Luka Doncic. You see this? Luka was listed on the Mavericks Game 3 injury report heading into Wednesday night here. Tonight's Game 3. It's our Wednesday show. As probable. So he's listed as probable to play in Game 3 with the only injury being a contusion to the chest, the thoracic contusion. I believe that's how it's said. Anyway, no longer a right knee sprain, not listed. Now, the big revelation for Porzingis is that he received a pain-killing injection before Game 2. Fortunately, the Chargers team doctor did not give him that, so he did not have to miss 7 months or whatever. But pain-killing injection before Game 2 to manage the intense pain, the throbbing pain. And he is expected to get another one of those injections before Game number 3, possibly during Game number 3 at halftime. Sometimes they do those things at halftime. So the Mavericks, Luka Doncic, getting an injection prior to Game 2 and likely another one before Game 3. What do you make of that development? So what do you make of that development? So I've got classical drama-o-rama NBA style served piping hot right there. From the Willis Reed game years ago before mainstream media cared about the NBA to the Michael Jordan flu game, which we learned during COVID was a food poisoning game, to the Kobe Bryant flu game, which I think was also food poisoning. So all these various games. And now you can add, conceivably, if it goes the way of Dallas, you would add the Luka injection perfection game for the Mavericks, all because of a bruise. Remember, a contusion is a fancy way to say a bruise. I wish I had known that when I was a kid. It would have sounded much cooler. I'm a little banged up. I got a contusion. It doesn't sound as cool when you say, I got a bruise. Yeah, it doesn't sound cool. Right? It sounds weak. But it is going to be a roller coaster. All right, it's going to be a roller coaster, and here's why. Because you're going to have does he take the shot early? Does he take the shot midway through the game? It's going to be equal parts exhilarating, frightening, and terrifying if you care for the Mavericks. And we have a few people that listen to the show and occasionally call in that do care about the Mavericks. But the issue, and we see this in football, it's more of a football thing than a basketball thing, but the effects of the medication, the toxicity of the medication wear off. You can only take one. So do you take it before the game, right before tip-off, and then you come out gangbusters, which is what Luka did in Game 2, or you to try to tough it out, figuring Dallas is at home and you can suck in the first half, and then in the second half, you can go guns a-blazing. All right, so that's the decision. You make the call. Now, since the Mavericks are at home, the smart thing would be to just kind of figure still be in the game at halftime if you're Dallas. Like, the Celtics aren't going to blow the Mavericks out. Unlikely that on the road that the Boston basketball team will come out and just blow the doors off the Mavericks, at least in the first half. So if you're deciding between pregame and halftime, you would go a halftime, all things being equal. It is interesting to note, though, the official family doctor for Luka Doncic, I think, is it Dr. Pepper? Is that true? He loves Dr. Pepper. All right, now, who doesn't? Now, the last word here. We hop on the coaching carousel. Round and round and round and round, round and round and round and round. We go on the coaching carousel. Follow-up, obligatory Laker La La Land, MALLER monologue. The historians kicked in the nuts by a college coach. While this has been playing out the last couple of days, the Laker franchise in full panic mode right now. A lot of embarrassment. I'm enjoying every second of it. They're the laughing stock of the entire NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers. Ha, 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 they suck. They embarrass themselves. They embarrass themselves. This Dan Hurley thing. That Genie bus and the Lakers flew Dan Hurley out from Connecticut. The only reason you would do that is because you thought you had a deal to hire Dan Hurley. Otherwise, you wouldn't risk the embarrassment. But ta-da! We've already been through this. We don't need to rehash it. Oh, it's a lot of fun to rehash. I really like rehashing the story. Boy, is it fun. So the Lakers are in scramble mode trying to pick up the pieces of the broken windshield. There's a lot of pieces of glass everywhere. And now the latest, if you haven't heard, some NBA insiders believe that J.J. Redick, who's believed to be the preferred choice now that UConn's coach has gone back to Storrs, Connecticut, Dan Hurley. So J.J. Redick, the insider crowd, there's a popular opinion by popular people that Redick will avoid the Lakers' quote, circus, unquote, after the fiasco that took place with the UConn coach. Does that one pass the smell test? So the good thing about this is when you do the smell test, I have a very large nose. So I have the Schnozola test, the MALLER Schnozola test. This take fails. That's a failed take. Go back to take jail. That's a failed take. I'll tell you why. J.J. Redick, let me be clear here. He has no business being an NBA head coach. The guy's a fraud as a broadcaster. He's unlikable. He's got no coaching experience. So he checks none of the boxes other than sucking the toes of LeBron James. Other than that, that's it. And that's all the qualifications one needs. But aside from that, you take the job because you're unqualified. And it's a lot of big money under the big top there. A lot of big money. And the Lakers are desperate to save face. And so if they hire J.J. Redick, they say, we got Pat Riley until we fire him in 2 years when LeBron's gone. But we got Pat Riley. And that handshake, that is a golden handshake. That's a special handshake. Golden handshake. Big money, big money, big money handshake.